Things Fall Apart, Chapter 23, page 192. For the first time in many years, Okonkwo had a feeling that was akin to happiness. The times which had altered so unaccountably during his exile seemed to be coming round again. The clan which had turned false on him appeared to be making amends. He had spoken violently to his clansmen when they had met in the marketplace to decide on their action, and they had listened to him with respect. It was like the good old days again when a warrior was a warrior. Although they had not agreed to kill the missionary or drive away the Christians, they had agreed to do something substantial, and they had done it. Okonkwo was almost happy again. For 2 days after the destruction of the church, nothing happened. Every man in Umofia went around armed with a gun or a machete. They would not be caught unawares like the men of Abame. Then the district commissioner returned from his tour. Mr. Smith went immediately to him, and they had a long discussion. The men of Umofia did not take any notice of this, and if they did, they thought it was not important. The missionary often went to see his brother white man. There was nothing strange in that. 3 days later, the district commissioner sent his sweet-tongued messenger to the leaders of Umofia, asking them to meet at his headquarters. That was also not strange. He often asked them to hold such palavers, as he called them. Okonkwo was among the 6 leaders he invited. Okonkwo warned the others to be fully armed. An Umofia man does not refuse a call, he said. He may refuse to do what is asked. He does not refuse to be asked. But the times have changed, and we must be fully prepared. Pause here and answer the question. And so the 6 men went to the district commissioner armed with their machetes. They did not carry guns, for that would be unseemly. They were led into the courthouse where the district commissioner sat. He received them politely. They unslung their goatskin bags and their sheathed machetes, put them on the floor, and sat down. "I have asked you to come," began the commissioner, "because of what happened during my absence. I have been told a few things, but I cannot believe them until I have heard your side. Let us talk about it like friends and find a way of ensuring that it does not happen again." Ogbufi Ekweme rose to his feet and began to tell the story. "Wait a minute," said the commissioner. "I want to bring in my men so they can too hear your grievances and take warning. Many of them come from distant places, and although they speak your tongue, they are ignorant of your customs. James, go and bring in the men." His interpreter left the courtroom and soon returned with 12 men. They sat together with the men of Umofia, and Ogbufi Ekweme began to tell the story of how Enoch murdered Anigugu. It happened so quickly that the 6 men did not see it coming. There was only a brief scuffle, too brief even to allow the drawing of a sheathed machete. The 6 men were handcuffed and led into the guardroom. 2. They were tricked. Please answer the question in number 2. "We shall not do you any harm," said the district commissioner to them later, "if only you agree to cooperate with us. We have brought a peaceful administration to you and your people so that you may be happy. If any man ill-treats you, we shall come to your rescue, but we will not allow you to ill-treat others. We have a court of law where we judge cases and administer justice, just as is done in my own country under a great queen. I have brought you here because you joined together to molest others, to burn people's houses in their place of worship. That must not happen in the dominion of our queen, the most powerful ruler in the world. I've decided that you will pay a fine of 200 bags of cowries. You will be released as soon as you agree to this and undertake to collect that fine from your people. What do you have to say to that?" The 6 men remained sullen and silent, and the commissioner left them for a while. He told the court messengers, when he left the guard-room, to treat the men with respect, because they were the leaders of Umofia. They said, "Yes, sir," and saluted. As soon as the district commissioner left, the head messenger, who was also the prison barber, took down his razor and shaved off all the hair on the men's heads. They were still handcuffed, and they just sat and moped. "Who is the chief among you?" the court messengers asked in jest. "We see that every pauper wears the anklet of title in Umofia. Does it cost as much as 10 cowries?" The 6 men ate nothing throughout the day and the next. They were not given any water to drink, and they could not go out to urinate or go into the bush when they were pressed. At night the messengers came in to taunt them and to knock their shaven heads together. Even when the men were left alone, they found no words to speak to one another. It was only on the 3rd day, when they could no longer bear the hunger and the insults, that they began to talk about giving in. Pause here and answer question number 3. "We should have killed the white man if you'd listened to me," Okonkwo snarled. "We could have been in Numuru now waiting to be hanged," someone said to him. "Who wants to kill the white man?" asked a messenger who just rushed in. Nobody spoke. "You are not satisfied with your crime, but you must kill the white man on top of it?" He carried a strong stick, and he hit each man a few blows on the head and back. Okonkwo was choked with hate. As soon as the 6 men were locked up, court messengers went into Mofia to tell the people that their leaders would not be released until they paid a fine of 250 bags of cowries. "Unless you pay the fine immediately," said their headman, "we will take your leaders to Muru before the big white man and hang them." The story spread quickly through the villages, and was added to it as it went. Some said that the men had already been taken to Muru and would be hanged on the following day. Some said that their families would also be hanged. Others said that soldiers were already on their way to shoot the people of Umufi as they had done in Abame. It was the time of the full moon, but that night the voice of children was not heard. The village Ilo, where they always gathered for a moon play, was empty. The women of Agwedu did not meet in their secret enclosures to learn a new dance to be displayed later to the village. Young men who were always abroad in the moonlight kept to their huts that night. Their manly voices were not heard on the village paths as they went to visit their friends and lovers. Umofia was like a startled animal with ears erect, sniffling the silent, ominous air, and not knowing which way to run. The silence was broken by the village crier beating his sonorous ojin. He called every man in Umofia from the Akanakama age group upwards to a meeting in the marketplace after the morning meal. He went from one end of the village to the other, and walked all its breadth. He did not leave out any of the main footpaths. Okonkwo's compound was like a deserted homestead. It was as if cold water had been poured on it. His family was all there, but everyone spoke in whispers. His daughter Azima had broken her 28-day visit to the family of her future husband and returned home when she heard that her father had been imprisoned and was going to be hanged. As soon as she went to Obierica to ask what the men of Amofi were going to do about it. But Obierica had not been home since morning. His wife thought he'd gone to a secret meeting. Azima was satisfied that something was being done. Pause here and answer question number 4 about Obierica being at a secret meeting. Where do you think Obierica was? Why does the author not tell us? Why leave it vague? What do you think? So 4 and 4a, please. On the morning after the village crier's appeal, the men of Umofia met in the marketplace and decided to collect without delay 250 bags of cowries to appease the white man. They did not know that 50 bags would go to the court messengers, who had increased the fine for that purpose. End of chapter 23. Please answer question number 5. Evaluate the actions of the court messengers. What do you think motivates their actions? So these are the guys that shaved Okonkwo's head and the other men's head. These are the men that charged the village an extra 50 cowries to release them. Why do these men behave this way? What do they want? What's their motivation? And then number 6, evaluate your emotions and feelings for Okonkwo at this moment. Have they changed over the course of the last few chapters? Have you begun to feel any empathy or sympathy for Okonkwo? Describe the different emotions you may have felt for Okonkwo over the course of the novel, and what events were the precursor for these emotions. So, for example, what happened in the beginning of the novel that may have incited passionate feelings for or against Okonkwo, and what were those things that happened? And then how do you feel about him now? End of chapter 23.